welcome to Trashy Trashy, where we take a dumpster dive on this week's garbage people and a look at all the trashiest news stories. My name is Erica, and I am your host.
My name is Cassandra, and I'm your other host. Hi, how are you? It's great to see you again.
Hey, great to see you. Great to see you again. Yeah. How's your mom? How's your job? Well, good. All right.
Doing good? Great.
Yeah.
Love it.
Hey, love to hear that.
How's your mother? Like you said.
Tell your mother I said, how's she doing? Tell your mother.
What is it? It's Andy
Mark
Samberg
Wahlberg.
doing Mark Wahlberg. Yeah.
Yes. So good.
Tell your mother.
Tell your mother said. I was thinking about that impression. I love on SNL when the cast members do their impressions of the celebrities to them.
Sure.
Like if they're guests, I think like Jimmy Fallon did like Adam Sandler,
Yeah.
I always enjoy that part of it because what people love is when you do their impression of you to them. But actually, I do love that because I love specific attention, like attention in general. I'm like, okay, oh no, I'm being a lot of attention on me right now.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody says something like, Erica, you eat corn so stupidly, this is what it looks like. I'm like, oh my God, they paid so much attention to me. Wow.
Wow, that's true. I mean, they say imitation is, a form of flattery.
And it's just like that so like being roasted, like, that kind of thing. I'm like, oh my God, thank you.
You guys got me.
You guys got me. Because it's not just like, you so fat. Ugh. It's like, Erica, have you ever noticed that this is the way you say your L's? And you're like, oh my God, that is me. You
nailed my ass.
Yes. Anyway, we should unpack that in the old therapy.
Sure, of course.
But who has the time? There's so many other things.
Not I.
You know how I'm a loud person, right?
Okay.
Now you have an Apple Watch. Is that correct? You have an Apple Watch.
I do.
Does it give you little warnings like, hey, you haven't stood up in an hour, or you're in a loud environment?
I've yet to get the loud environment one, but I get the stand ones.
Well, let me tell you, if you're around me, your Apple Watch might start giving you are you in a loud environment warning?
Are you serious?
I was in a pool on Sunday or Monday, and multiple times I set someone's Apple Watch off and it would just go loud environment noise alert.
Hilarious.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is I'm a hazard to everyone's health. What are you going to do?
Nothing. Not a damn thing.
What am I going to do? Change it now?
No.
At this age? No.
Please. In this economy?
Who has the time?
Not me.
What has your week been like?
Oh, it's just been a lot. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I get it. It has been a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes I will, if Apple generates a password for me or something, I'll make a note of it quickly and then I'll uncopy paste it and, memorize it or write it down or whatever. But a lot of times they have a lot of dashes in between them and it looks like it's the way to pronounce a word. And so I was looking at my notes and I see one that's like VEL-YOOZ-OFGG. And I'm like, what word was I trying to look up the pronunciation for? And then I quickly realized, no, babe, that's a password that you should delete off your notes app. But I was sitting there and I'm like, what language is that in? I was just trying to sit there thinking, I just saw it and I was like, what is that?
I got to ask you.
Yeah.
Why are you trash?
Okay.
Please stop giving away your passwords.
Start giving away my passwords. Yeah. So we talked about the filthy cars.
Yes.
And, I keeps it clean. I got Armor All wipes. I got 2 car trash cans. I have a tiny car vacuum cleaner now.
Damn.
I went to the desert last week and there was a rainstorm, which,
gross.
By the way, you can't be in a pool if there's lightning. Hotels don't give you a voucher for come back for 20 minutes in the future.
Now, let me ask something about that.
Yeah.
Because you might get struck by lightning or the pool might get struck or like.
Yes. Yeah. It's a hazard. You can't be in a body of water like that when it's lightning.
That's fair. I mean, I guess that checks out. It's just kind of
checks out.
Such a bummer, bro.
So my car, again, desert rainstorm, car looked like I'd just come through hell. It was filthy. But so I took it, I got it washed, of course. That day when my car is filthy, I'm already like, oh, this is making me anxious. It's just like covered in dust and cake and mud. I'm driving and I get a tiny nosebleed. Oh no.
Oh.
I go to grab a tissue from my bag.
Mm-hmm.
No tissues in the bag.
Uh-oh.
Then I open my glove compartment and I'm looking and I find a tiny tampon. So I do the thing.
Tiny tampon? Like
a
light?
A
Okay.
light.
Okay.
I do the thing and I, trying to dab my nose with the tampon and like collect, stop this nosebleed.
Okay, so you don't do the thing. Because when you say I do the thing and you're talking about a tampon
you think
and
it's up the nose.
Yeah, that's what I think the thing is. So
it's not fully up the nose.
For me and the listeners,
But okay, here's the thing. It was a plastic applicator tampon. So there's two parts of that. For those who don't know, there's the cotton, there's two pieces of plastic where you push it up, then you discard the plastics. One plastic, no problem. I have the other one falls in between my seat and like the console to where I can't reach it.
The big piece or the little one?
The little one.
Yeah, that thing is squirrely.
I can't reach it. So I'm like, okay, this is embarrassing. Next time I pull over, I'll just have to dig for it. I can't find it. Days go by and I still can't seem to locate it. I'm shining flashlights up in there. I'm just sitting there and I'm just thinking, God forbid I die in some car accident. Knock on wood, that doesn't happen.
Of course.
Somebody has to go through my car, like forensically. Like if scientists have to go through my car and then they're like, well, we found this plastic tampon applicator, I would be so mortified.
That's what you're worried about?
I mean,
that's the patriarchy, babe. Women have periods in the middle of traffic. They do have
periods, but they don't lose their applicators in their car.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that.
Yeah.
Did you ever find it?
I don't think I found it to this day.
Did you talk about your AirPod on the pod?
I did. Update.
Okay.
Found.
Yeah, it went in your butt.
It went in the butt. Found my AirPod. I sleep in a silk bonnet a lot of nights to keep my hair from breaking. And I found the earpod inside. I have multiple silk bonnets, different sizes. If I have rollers in my hair, it's a whole thing now. I found my earpod in one of my silk bonnets.
The thing I was wearing
when I lost it. Yeah, absolutely. The first place you would check. Oh no. We vacuumed, we swept, we moved everything in that home. I emptied every drawer, repacked it. It was in the silk bonnet. Anyway, Winston was like, are you kidding me? The thing that you were wearing when you lost it over your ears, you didn't think to look inside of it. Anyway, that's me. Why are you trash?
Well, I am going to throw it back just a bit to earlier this year when I was on a honeymoon. And so, you ever known a bride or have been a bride or have even been to a wedding? Who knows? I don't know your life, but sometimes you feel inclined to get fake eyelashes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened to me. I got fake eyelashes for my wedding. It was my first time getting fake eyelashes in a long time. I wasn't in love with the person who did it because I couldn't get in with the good girl that we go to.
Mm-hmm.
But it, whatever, they worked with a full face of makeup on. They worked, and then I got used to them, etc., etc. Anyways, I was on a honeymoon for 3 weeks, and these fake eyelashes do not tend to last in full form for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I got them about the week before the wedding. So I just remember near the end of my tenure in France, I'd been losing eyelashes, and I was in the absolute lavish cat piss dungeon that is Versailles.
Oh no.
And just shedding false eyelashes all over Versailles.
Wow.
It's not my hair,
right?
So I don't know that I was necessarily leaving a ton of DNA behind. However,
right. No crimes could be pinned to you because of it.
However, it was still and why do I call Versailles cat piss dungeon? Because it smells like cat piss, of course, because Versailles is a really old castle. And back in those days, they used to just piss and shit everywhere. Really, look it up.
Etiquette, a ticket of Remember that we learned about etiquette on classy, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, go
I
ahead.
do remember
Yep.
that. So
Mhm.
anyways, that's it. I littered Versailles with false eyelashes, and if there was ever a crime there and they found my eyelash on the scene,
Mhm.
there's going to be a mink that's going to be in a lot of trouble, but not me.
Yeah.
Do you think it's really mink hair, like
I
from an
don't
actual
know.
animal?
I don't
hope
think
not.
I hope not. They say mink, but I'm like, is it?
Now, here's the other
Okay.
question. Why
Yeah.
didn't we ever ask?
It doesn't occur to me. I don't know what a mink looks like.
A mink is an animal.
Does it look kind of like a ferret?
Mink looks, yeah, it has major ferret energy, but it's just very soft. And so when you're like a rich monster like Jennifer Lopez, you might take the choice to wear a coat made from mink, and it's very expensive. And so some of the fake eyelash places they go, what eyelash would you like? Would you like it, looking full and voluptuous? Would you like flirty, etc.? And then also,
natural,
do you want
butterfly? Yeah.
Yes, natural, sexy butterfly. Or do you want, and what material would you like your eyelashes to be from? Like we've got this, these cut up pipe cleaner plastic, if you want that. You're a cheap asshole, or, perhaps you'd be interested in the mink. And then you go for the mink.
I think because minks are not like, I don't have a sweater that has a mink picture on it or artwork of mink. They're not mink. I think because we don't see them in that way. Like there's not like a lot of mink in pop culture besides like knowing that they make fur coats and eyelashes. I think if they had a better PR team, we would feel weirder about it, is what I'm saying.
So you're blaming mink PR.
Yes, I'm blaming mink PR. Yeah.
Okay. Insane. But
so speaking of DNA, I have a quick story for you from our story of the week.
It's our first story.
So in Germany for quite some time, I'm talking about 19 years. They called her the woman with no face or the Phantom of Heilbronn. It was a hypothetical unknown serial killer that they keep finding evidence of in Germany from 1993 to 2009. They found so many murders linked to this DNA. They found her on crimes, stealing, all sorts of stuff. So the cops are like, we have this criminal mastermind,
a superstar
in our minds. And so DNA from 40 crime scenes, her DNA was recovered, and they would catch like her accomplices and they'd be like, all right, well, give up the queen, give up your mastermind. And nobody would talk. Nobody would even mention her when they were being interrogated. And
they even no, they're like, who?
They were just tight-lipped. And so this was happening in a couple other countries too, like Austria, some in Russia, some in Eastern, just kind of a lot of Eastern Europe. They keep finding this DNA linked to all these heinous crimes. Again, 16 years have gone by and they're like, oh God, we got to find her. Well, the reward started off like $10,000. Like if you know anything about her, 10,000 euro or whatever. And they're like, eventually the whereabouts was increased to $300,000. If you knew anything about who the Phantom of Heilbronn was.
Like, who is this hoe?
Like, how does she get all these people? And she just would churn, she'd be like, somebody churn, next crime, somebody new. And they're like, whoa, how does she get these people to do her bidding? Well, DNA technology was somewhat, relatively new to an extent. And the criminal laboratories were using cotton swabs for the DNA probing. The cotton swabs used by many of these police departments were contaminated before they were shipped. Now they were stripped of any type of bacteria, all this like disinfectant went on them, but the DNA was still able to transfer. And this particular lab was not approved for DNA swabbing. It was used for medical grade things. Come to find out, the DNA, the Phantom of Hilgard, was a little old lady who worked in the factory making the cotton swabs. And so she's just sitting there having no idea. So the police finally locate her and she's just like, what? I just make the cotton swabs in the lab. I put them in the packets. So they have all these unlinked crimes that they've thought were connected, just in that. Imagine Charlie from It's Always Sunny with the red strings connecting all the crimes, Pepe Sylvie style. And like, who is this Phantom of Hilgard? And it come to find out it was someone from the factory that was accidentally contaminating them with their DNA, and that they were not supposed to use these cotton swabs at all.
Not even her fault.
Not even her fault. Not even
It's
her
not like
fault.
she was just like getting lazy on the job and being like,
No.
oop, I know these are disinfected, but I'm going to touch them anyways. Like,
They were not certified for human DNA collection at all. Like
that's
the
so
police
crazy.
fucked up. Yeah. So then there's some of these crimes were solved later. All of them have been unrelated, but some of them are still unsolved to this day because police were chasing phantoms. Isn't that crazy?
That's so funny.
Anyway, the story I heard this on is called Case File. It's one of my favorite podcasts. I've talked about it before. It is a true crime podcast based out of Australia, and it has an anonymous host, Casey, Case File Casey, but there's no editorializing.
Casey.
Casey, Case File Casey. Yeah, he does a top 10 list every week of crimes, but it's not like editorializing. There's no like opinion or commentary. It is just the facts of the case, but told in a very compelling manner. It's
Cool.
really great. Anyway, so speaking of DNA and being who you are, get into our next story.
This is from news.com.au. A man spends $22,000 to become a collie dog, a rough collie dog. I mean, I don't know what the difference is between a rough collie and a collie dog, but
Rough Collie was born on the wrong side of the tracks.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, he didn't come from a good home, but he's
Sure,
making the
sure.
most from himself,
And that's all that matters,
Yep.
Nurture over nature or whatever.
We're all given circumstances and we got to overcome them.
And this man did, because he was a Japanese man who, has wanted to be a collie or a dog ever since he was a kid. He made that dream come true.
He spent $22,000, which is about 2 million yen, on a hyper realistic dog costume and was taken on a walk to the delight of his almost 30,000 YouTube subscribers. He is known only as Toko. And he was taken on a walk by his friend in the neighborhood doing tricks. He was on all fours. It looks like a dog.
It definitely looks like there's a lot of dog energy to it. It looks like a dog for sure. I mean, there's some puppet kind of vibes to it.
Sure.
And obviously, I don't know if he's in a notes stage yet. Or if he's just kind of like, if this is a finished product, but if I could give a note, I would say he hasn't really perfected the crawling yet.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sure you could leave a comment on his YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'll just be like, hey, love your stuff. Again, I'm not sure if you're looking for notes right now, if you were just sending me this, just to share.
He's anonymous. He doesn't want his hobbies to be known by the people. He goes by this, pseudonym Toko. He hides his human identity. He's like, I don't want the people I work with to know, because he's a dog trainer. Yeah, he's Batman.
He's a dog trainer?
No, I'm just, that was me.
I was like, I didn't read that. That's fucking hilarious.
No, that would be very interesting. But yeah, he's just like, listen, it was my dream and I've wanted to do it since I was a little kid. And he paid a lot of money and had it done. So, I mean, money can buy a lot of things.
But it can't buy class, can it?
Money can't buy you class. Luann de Lesseps, the Countess from Real Housewives of New York City. But
speaking of getting money, though.
Yes.
From foxnews.com, boo. A bank robber drops from the ceiling straight into the trash bin where he was caught by police because I guess he couldn't get out.
Is this just an episode of the Pink Panther?
It really feels like, the Fox News viewership is pretty old, so it's probably just nice for them to see oh, you're right. Pink Panther is at it again.
Yeah. So
there he goes.
The Huron police nabbed the suspected bank robber when he fell into the recycling bin. There's police body cam footage the moment he fell from the ceiling.
Hilarious. Wait, so there's cops already there?
Yeah, there's body cam footage. Yeah. Basically, he was around 2:20 a.m. The officers received an alarm from the Federal Credit Union, Vacation Land Federal Credit Union. And they were dispatched. They were checking on the building, just taking their tiny little flashlights, giving it an ocular scan, assessing the perim, giving a 1-2. What's up? Sure. False alarm, possibly. And then, just like in a cartoon, the ceiling caved. Like the man fell through the roof and into a blue recycling bin inside. It was under the drive-through lane from the roof access door. And boom, God damn it.
It just like, so not only did this robber have this like crazy, stupid entrance, but obviously, like, he set off the alarms, which means this wasn't his first choice.
Yes.
He was like, well, of course I meant to walk through the front door, but it was locked. So I had to come up with another plan.
As you know, the officers, drew their weapons, they moved closer. They were waiting for someone to exit through the door, but then they saw that his legs stick out of the trash or the recycling bin. On the ground. Get on the ground. Get on the fucking ground. It just says expletive in the article, but I'm using my journalistic instincts to know what the police were screaming.
I think you're probably right around it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever told this story, but I think about it all the time. When I worked at Coffee Bean in Studio City, it was Halloween, and that Coffee Bean was like in the same parking lot as a small credit union.
Mm-hmm.
And someone from the bank came in, like, this was like, had to have been like, I don't know, 6 or 7 in the morning. And, like, we're like, hey, happy Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, yeah, I actually work next door. I'm like, oh my God, how cool. And then they were like, anyways, can we use your phone? We're actually getting robbed right now. And they were so chill about it. And I was like, yes, of course. But like, because people, apparently Halloween is like a very big day for bank robberies because
costumes.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's why like you can't really like, cool, congratulations, you're an adult in the Halloween costume, but like you can't really like wear anything that's covering your face if you're gonna do like bank transactions and shit.
I do like that in Point Break they showed up as the ex-presidents. Like, that's such a funny, like, Nixon robbing a bank.
Sure.
Did you ever watch that movie Sugar and Spice?
I did. It's been a long time though, but yes.
Me too. I loved that movie, but I love that they also did the Point Break ex-president's mask in it.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's such a good movie. And then the one girl's like in love with Conan O'Brien. It was such a silly Okay, Sugar and Spice. The plot is their friend gets pregnant. They're cheerleaders, so they rob a bank so she has money to live. It's very charming, very 2000s, very funny. I love it. Anyway.
Speaking of costumes.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, I have an announcement.
Okay.
I'm actually quitting the podcast and I'm moving to China to pursue my dream of being a bear in the zoo. I've accepted the position. I signed my offer letter, and I just want to thank everyone. It's been great, but I'm out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we want to thank you for a really good 3 years, and, we all had a lot of laughs, but yeah, I mean, I completely understand that if these jobs are available, as under the table as they might be, that you really have to take them.
You got to go where the work is.
Yes.
But according to WRAL.com, many people believe that these bears in a Chinese zoo are just people in costumes.
Sun, moon, grizzly, black, speckled, sloth. Bears all over the world can stand, shuffle, totter, and walk on 2 legs, although they usually prefer 4.
Polar.
And there are people now who have seen, there's videos of like bears either standing on their hind legs, feeling a little too human, or bears that don't seem to stand up at all. And they're like, okay, that's a person in a costume, and that's just a big dog.
So these are sun bears, but there's been a lot of images and video surfaced from the Chinese social media site called Weibo. And it's a sun bear who stands on her hind legs and just kind of looks like a person just standing around on their break. Have you seen? I mean, these videos are crazy looking, but that's what sun bears look like.
Sure. But also I like the idea, like, because anyways, this article goes on to say that this is not like that zoos have been caught.
Yes.
With having just people in suits instead of the real animals.
They also had a lion in quotations, but it was actually just a Tibetan Mastiff.
Like, so funny. I mean, It's not funny, I guess. It's sad for the people who pay money to go there, and for, I guess, these dogs living in captivity. But, for the people who are just dressing up, like, I mean, you'll have to tell us, Erica, since it's where you're going.
I've been training for months, but I'm very excited. Yeah.
And you never just thought to become a mascot for a sports team.
I was a mascot in junior high.
I can see that.
I was the team mascot. Yeah, I did make the cheerleading squad in the 7th grade. Failed that audition. Failed that.
But they made you a mascot?
Yeah. Yeah.
That feels worse.
Oh, it was in so many, but also it was, I was the
Character
star of the
building,
show.
like now you're a
Yeah,
comedian.
I was like, character building. Yeah. Yeah. I the day I found out I didn't make cheerleader was the May 5th, the day of the May 5th tornadoes in Oklahoma, which was like a very, very bad. We commemorate tornadoes with days, really, not locations in Oklahoma. So somebody's like,
Okay.
oh, the May 5th tornado. Damn. But I just remember bawling my eyes out. And then I still had to go to a banquet, like a school banquet, crying. And then there was this tornado that like wrecked so many places. And I was like, just let me go home at this point. It made me the woman I am today.
Totally.
I would have been a monster. Can you imagine if I was a cheerleader? The confidence and overinflation of self. I'd been a fucking monster.
Yeah.
It's a blessing I'm not coordinated enough to do it or could jump. Like it's
I
a
was
blessing.
so opposed to becoming a cheerleader in middle school because I was super committed to being punk that I joined when I moved out to California, I ended up in a middle school and it was kind of like halfway through the year at that point.
Yeah.
And so there wasn't like a lot of room to put me into different like physical education. And so the first solution was, well, we have room in cheerleading. She can go and be in cheerleading. And I was like, oh my God, cheerleading, like, kill me basically. And I don't know how I did this because I'm almost positive like this wasn't a true statement. But I feel like the way I remember it was that I was able to get out of cheerleading because I couldn't, like, I think I ratted myself out for not having health insurance, which there's no way that was true because I was in middle school and my mom worked in a hospital. So like, I definitely had health insurance. But that was like, I think how I kind of managed to weasel my way out of it and just get into normal PE, which also sucked. Like in retrospect, I might have been better off in cheerleading.
You didn't have to do pull-ups in cheerleading.
No, you didn't have to run the mile in cheerleading. You just had to dance. But I was just so absolutely not going to do this. I was either that or I like made like this big dramatic show to my mom of like, you need to get me out of cheerleading because it's going to cost so much money.
Yeah, smart.
Or I don't know exactly what I did, but I did manage to get out of cheerleading because I was just like, no, I'm too punk rock for that. I'm just too punk rock. And you know what? I'm feeling a little too punk rock for this podcast. We should probably take a break. Erica, do you have any concerts coming up?
Always. I'm a festival girly, I have to get the VIP though, because I cannot go without an air-conditioned bathroom.
Okay, well, my sweet angel, planning for faster and efficient hydration is also essential for festivals. And Liquid IV has you covered while you prep before, power through that headliner, and recover after the weekend.
Hey, now don't count yourself out while you're drunk poolside all summer. Cass. Liquid IV hydrates 2 times faster than water and with 3 times the electrolytes than traditional sports drinks.
I mean, we really have no excuses. Liquid IV is actually standard in my purse. It goes phone, wallet, keys, Liquid IV.
And with flavors like lemon lime, pastique, that's French for watermelon, and my favorite, strawberry lemonade, staying hydrated is easy peasy.
Mama, I'm talking B3. I'm talking B5. I'm talking B6. And I'm screaming from the rooftops, B12.
They've got all the Bs.
And there's a little bit of vitamin C in there too, just for kicks.
Oh, she's made from premium ingredients and is free from gluten, dairy, and soy.
Oh, thank God. Yeah, I'm vegan now. I don't know if I've talked about that yet.
We know. Okay. Get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code TRASHY at checkout.
That's 20% off of anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code TRASHY at liquidiv.com.
Honestly, we're so trashy, we're hydrated.
Wet trash. Hey, we're back.
And we're back. I will say the only thing I do like that there is a real thing in China where people, because pandas can be isolated and are so reticent to reproduce in captivity. There is a job, and I've looked into it. It's a real job where humans don panda costumes and their job is just hugging baby pandas.
So I have something a little bit closer to home for you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Service animals, a lot of the ones that assist blind people
Yes.
and children with disabilities, they too require hugging. Puppies, they require hugging. I have a friend who does this, and now you have to, you have to earn that
Sure.
position. So
Sure.
there is, you have your volunteer days where you're just shoveling shit. Okay. You're just shoveling shit. But once you prove that you're there, that you're down with the cause,
Yeah.
then you get promoted to puppy hugger. And it's really nice in a world like this.
Baby, I grew up on a farm. I've been shoveling shit since I could walk. I can do those volunteer days, no problem. Let
I'll
me
get
hug
you
the
the
puppy.
information. I'll get you the information if you want it,
Speaking of hugging a little baby, our next story comes to us from CNN.com. Ohio's Columbus Zoo thought that this gorilla was a male. Then it gave birth to a baby.
We got animal story after animal story after animal story. Let's go.
Because they're nice.
They are nice. They're trashy, but they're nice. The trashy people in this situation, obviously not this gorilla. It's the zookeepers who misgendered the gorilla and then watched this male gorilla allegedly give a baby. Have a baby.
So they thought it was male. And then all of a sudden, Thursday morning, it was holding a baby. And now, if this were in the 1950s, they would say, oh, look, the gorilla has a new little sister. And then the mom would raise the baby. And then when the baby gorilla was like in his 20s, it would find out, wait, my sister was my mom the whole time? That happened to, God, what actor did that happen to? Like famous actor. Was it Jack Nicholson?
I don't know, but that's dark.
Basically, gorillas do not have prominent sex organs until they are 8 years old. So male and females look mostly alike. A lot of animals are like this, where there's no super distinction between male, female, unlike a peacock and a peahen, very distinct, but a lot of animals just look the same. And so they really have like a hands-off status at the zoo and just let the, little
animals. With a gorilla, that thing will rip your arm off for sport.
And
I'm not going to go check if a fully grown gorilla has a penis.
Excuse me. Do you mind bending over and coughing? Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you.
The gestation period for gorillas are 8.5 months. So it was assumed she was pregnant in the fall. Who's the daddy? I'd like to get to the bottom of that zoo, but where's Maury when you need him? And they said the baby seems healthy, but there will be a DNA test performed later to determine the newborn's father. Those zookeepers are like, can we do a skit? Can we do like a skit for TikTok? Where's the zoo's TikTok? Can we get the social media person in here? And they're like, no, you cannot do you're the father TikTok.
No skits.
No skits. This is for educational purposes only.
Did the word skit offend you back in those days when we were, spending hundreds of dollars to be in sketch classes? Did skit offend you?
No, because I find skit and sketch very different. Skit is what zookeepers and veterinarians would do for TikTok. And your school lunch ladies lip syncing to Lunch Lady Land by Adam Sandler at the school assembly. That's a skit to me.
Okay.
A sketch is very different, plots, beats, all these things. So when people say, oh, you're doing your little skits, I'd be like, the sketch, I'm on a sketch team. I'm on a sketch team at a prominent theater in Los, of course, a little
so
bit.
It did. So the word skit did offend you. So
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
The answer is yes. Yeah.
You know what offends me?
Oh, food waste.
Yeah. Specifically cheese, because it hurts my stomach because I'm a vegan. We know. Except when I was talking about all that cocktail shrimp. From foodandwine.com, nacho cheese spill creates a zesty traffic hazard on Arkansas highway. I didn't think that you could get these kinds of articles from Food and Wine. I thought it was all just kind of recipes, but looks like they're getting into journalism.
Thank God. Do you guys need an editorial team to make your skits for your TikTok, Food and Wine? Because I know
they
2 people.
Way better social media people.
They really do. Yeah.
These people hire youths.
Oh, God. They're so fucking good at stuff. The Arkansas Department of Transportation posted to its X or Twitter account a repost from its Facebook page showing dozens of cans of gooey golden nacho cheese spilled across the section of Interstate 30, 100 miles southwest of Little Rock, Arkansas.
What was securing these cans?
I assume it was inside of like a semi, like one of those trailers where I don't think they were like open air, like bales of hay. I think they were 4 walls. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Yeah. I think they're going to reevaluate their safety protocols moving forward.
It just seems like these trucks that have food in them can't stay on the road, because there was a 1,500 pounds of hot dog filling oozing across Pennsylvania roadway last year. And then there was, of course, a big tomato spill, which I believe we covered, and Coors Light spills.
Alfredo sauce in Tennessee. Things are spilling. Things are moving fast on the highways, which makes me think of our next story.
You love this story. I want to just put this out there. I fought to get this cut.
And I said, no, the people need to know, Cassandra.
So tell them what they need to know.
From HuffPost.com, here is the science behind the Boston cop that went down the slide so fast, according to an actual physicist.
If you don't know what this is about, there's a TikTok video where it's just a metal slide, and then all of a sudden a police officer just comes rocketing out of it like stiff as a board. It's kind of insane.
And the slide is very long. It's a covered slide, so it's like completely round except for the holes at the beginning and entrance. And yeah, it's gone super viral.
It looks like it hurts.
Shoots out of there. Absolutely it hurts.
Like, it's like, oh my God, like, is he dead? Like, what happened?
But it looks like he went down it the wrong way too.
Yeah, he would it looks like there was some barrel rolling that was happening, and he was just like, I'll survive this if I am stiff as a board.
Yeah. The cop, after he, slid out and fell, he was harmed a little bit. So he went back and he sprinkled a little bit of crack on the slide and then shot it, justifiably, of course, afterwards. So
hilarious.
Now, the mayor of Boston, Michelle Wu, promised to make sure there's more signage that this thing is for children or something.
But is the fact that an adult went down it the reason? Or can we please ask an associate professor of physics at Southern and Eastern Louisiana University about this?
Well, Rhett Allen was here to answer. He's an associate professor of physics at Southeastern Louisiana University.
Holy shit, that was so specific and exactly what I got.
Yeah. He's actually the author of The Physics of Going Fast, but Not Too Fast on a Giant Slide for Wired magazine. His guess is that something has to do with the clothing that he's wearing, the polyester uniforms. But the pull quote, the best quote from this is, and this is Rhett Allen, associate professor of physics from Southeastern Louisiana University, says, normal people, when they go down a slide, they're fine.
That's the quote.
Just normal people. When they go down a slide, they're fine.
I think I know all I need to know.
Yep.
This man was abnormal.
He goes on to explain like the physics of mass and acceleration and things who can know.
Oh, it's a bunch of boring shit. Just to say,
friction,
all you have to say is normal,
blah, blah.
Normal people go down at a normal pace, and cop go down fast. And speaking of cops,
hey, speaking of Florida cops, that's a special breed.
From the MiamiNewTimes.com, stop narking on manatee orgies. We got more animals.
More animals. Florida's beloved manatees get it on year round. Mating herds are almost commonly seen in the summer, though. And it's manatee mating season. And the police are here to ask you, please don't call the cops on these manatee orgies. So on July 29th, a video showing a dozen of the large sea cows lumped atop one another near a shoreline set to the tune of Marvin Gaye's Let's Get It On from the Pinellas County Sheriff's Facebook. It's asking people to give them a little privacy while they get their flippers knocking.
In people's defense, because I've never seen a manatee orgy. And so if I see like 12 of them and they're all screeching and just, sorry. Is screeching not the right word?
I think screeching is okay. You might assume it's screaming. Like a beached manatee. You might think you're doing the humane thing of calling it in.
That's what I'm saying. It's like 911, what's your emergency? And okay, by the way, this is not the first time because so there's this thing called the bystander effect where,
Mhm.
if you witness, like a bunch of people witness an accident or something like that, that that no one calls 911 because they assume, oh, well, someone is going to call 911 or someone probably already has. I don't want to be like the fifth caller for 911 for the same accident.
Mhm.
And then because people are like that, sometimes no one ends up calling 911. So
Mhm.
I'm like, I am the bystander. As we all know, I love to be a hero. And I'm like, I'm gonna call 911. I don't care if I'm the fifth caller. I'm gonna do it.
Same.
But there's been like sometimes where like maybe I'm overly polite, but I don't want to abuse 911. So I've
Yeah.
called 911 before and been like, hey, sorry if you're not this isn't the right number. Sometimes I've
That-
wasted time being like
apologetic or like
local police office, local police station number, like just let me get an operator at the police station to
Mhm.
like, rather than going straight to 911. I don't want to worry anybody. But
I've done
anyways,
that too. I'm like,
this
I'm
is
so
just
sorry. This might not be anything. And they're like, what is the nature of your emergency?
like, what do you want? And plus we're both in LA County. So it's like, you sat on hold for 5 minutes already.
Yes. Yeah.
What do you want? Yes. So if I
Yeah.
saw this, a bunch of manatees
Oh.
screeching around on the beach, I'd be like, perhaps we do need to call someone, because what if they're hurt? But
Right.
it just turns out they're just fucking. They're
just
just
fucking in a
mating.
pile. They're just doing
Yeah.
what nature does and just fucks in a pile.
Big old pile of fuck. Is that the episode title?
Imagine the smells. They are very docile by nature generally, but they are 1,000 pounds and they could hurt someone who dares to venture into their frothy mating waters. They're going to be very
Yeah.
focused on the females, says a Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation commissioners. But he says the danger is if they start rolling and getting active, they may roll on top of you. And obviously, they're going to grab onto anything they can. Watch your dicks out there, guys. They're going to be grabbing.
That's a very like chill way of being like, look, if you get involved in this, you might be raped by a manatee, because that's what they're saying.
Yeah, but we can't stop them. They're endangered. We can't shoot one if it just starts, getting at you.
You know what? Speaking of shooting one, let's go on a break.
And we're back. I saw a Facebook post that was then reposted to Twitter, and it was from Facebook user Chai Sosa. And it says, most embarrassing sex moment, go with the cry laughy face emoji that's on an angle. And this user, whose name has been blocked out and profile images, says, our grandma walked in, cry emoji, sad. Our grandma walked in.
Some people will just put themselves on. Did you see that one idiot on TikTok? Like, some people will like just rat themselves up. That one guy on TikTok who was like vlogging or whatever. He's like, man, how come girls are always so horny right after sex? And everyone in the comments was like, you just ratted yourself out, bro. Like, you can't make a girl come. And then he had to like make a reply video being like, that's not true. I can do it. No, I was just saying. And it was just like, it was so funny that like, if you just, this is the internet culture at its worst. And like, people just need to remember when you put things out there, like, people might call you on your bullshit.
Yeah. Speaking of calling you on your bullshit, one British Columbia real estate agent got called on their bullshit pretty hard this week.
From cbc.ca, this is why I don't own property. Drinking someone else's milk straight from the jug costs British Columbia real estate agent $20,000.
Mike Rose, not the great comedian from Los Angeles, but the British Columbia real estate agent, was recorded on home surveillance footage sipping the milk and then putting it back. And there was a $20,000 fine issued, obviously. And the BC Financial Service Authority last week said that he was home alone and that he was home alone. He waited for his clients who were interested.
Was in a home
in
alone.
a home alone. Yeah. In the home alone.
He wasn't
in
his home alone.
Yeah. Oh, no. This is someone else's. He went to the refrigerator to find some water, but said he just swigged down some milk and then he put it back in the refrigerator. So obviously that's I didn't realize it was illegal, but that's super gross.
You know what I find the most gross is that
What?
this house had loose milk.
Loose Loose milk. Yeah, the title of the episode.
I know. I'm just like, when was the last time, again, this is like some coastal ass shit, and we've got listeners who don't just live in California, New York, are going to be like, fuck you, you hippie. But like, I don't know anybody who just like, maybe if you have kids, I guess, but like, otherwise, like, who's just got milk in the fridge?
I do.
You have milk, just like milk?
Yeah.
MILK from a cow, COW?
COWMILK. It makes
You
me
bake?
very sick. Sometimes I bake, but I love a bowl of cereal. It is my
Almond milk, babe.
indulgence. I don't like the taste of any soy or almond or wheat or.
You know what? It's my fault because I forget that you, Erica Curry, have the palate of a child.
I might go with your baby. I like my cereal as a treat.
I
It's
think
caviar to me.
I'll tell you what, a good swig of whole milk after you haven't had any for a really long time, that's a milkshake. That's ice cream.
Mhm.
Wow. I don't believe that this man was looking for water, because if he really was looking for water, wouldn't
Milk
you just
won't
like,
do.
no,
Put your head under the
won't do at all.
faucet.
100%.
Yeah.
If you're dehydrated and you go for milk, like then you've got kind of like the film mouth,
This is something sexual about this. This man gets off on the power of knowing he's drank. I drink your milkshake. He's Daniel Plainview. This is a power play. He comes in there.
Yeah.
And he drinks other people's milk. He puts it back. This is the first time he's been caught. This isn't the first time he's done it. This is the first time he's been caught.
Yeah. I would buy that.
Yeah. This is, I know that I did that and they have to drink after me.
And maybe it's not just milk. Maybe it's like anything. Like maybe he if he's at a house and he sees like a pizza box in there, he'll just kind of like graze his hands over the leftover pizza.
He licks the butter.
Yuck.
Yeah.
Well, he hides cocaine in cheese.
Probably. Yeah. All this dairy news from ndtv.com. 8 kilograms of cocaine hidden inside cheese wheels seized by U.S. Customs. Here's what I'll say about drugs. It's the only way I learned the metric system, because I don't know how much 8 kilograms is. I'm like, is that a lot? I feel like a kilo, is something I've heard is a lot, but I don't have an image for it. I don't have like that's about what a raw steak would weigh. I just don't have a way to compare it in my mind to how many pounds of cocaine that is.
It's really not like that. I mean, I love you, but it's really like not that hard. It's kind of like, it's like basically 2 to 1, but almost like 2.2 pounds is 1 kilogram.
Okay. So it was 17.8 pounds of cocaine.
Wow. That was fast math. And yes, you're exactly right.
I read it on the page. I didn't do the math.
I know. I'm making a joke. I was like giving that. I was gonna give that to you.
Thank you.
We edit the podcast too. So like even if you wouldn't have gotten it fast, like I could have said that and then they wouldn't have known, because you could, but now you have to keep all of this in.
Wow.
So
damn it.
I hope it was worth it. Drug smugglers across the globe are trying new ways to hide their merchandise and stay one step ahead of the law. And this time their latest trick was cheese. This was nearly 18 pounds of cocaine from Mexico, hidden inside large wheels of cheddar cheese. They got it in Texas in an X-ray machine. I didn't realize that you had to put your cheese through an X-ray machine.
I guess if you're importing all things, because when you're crossing over the border to Mexico, there's a lot of times when you clear customs in certain countries, you just hit a button. And if it's red, you got to talk to the guys. And if it's green, you get to go through, and they just kind of randomize it.
Sure.
So maybe they just hit the wrong button and had to go through the X-ray machine to get, inspected by customs a little bit more,
I flew recently and I was like, I'm an AirPod girly because I hate small talk. And so I was getting all my stuff, TSA pre, of course, getting everything good to go on that belt, ready to go. Let's get through security. And I was going too fast and I forgot that I hadn't taken my AirPods out. So I had a moment where I was like, do I brush my hair over my AirPods to see if I can get through with it? Or do I just walk through like brazen and like, just like, it doesn't matter? Or should I say something? And so I said something. I said, I forgot my AirPods. And I thought they were going to be like, oh, all good. Just put them in your hand and walk through. They were like, those need to go on the belt. And I was like, for real? So I had to like cut through this like family who was like taking up so much time at TSA pre that I'm like, oh God, they'll give it to anybody, won't they? And yeah, I had to put my AirPods through and I was like, what are you going to find on there? I'm putting it in my ears. You think I've stuffed my AirPods with cocaine, a bomb, that I would put that in my ears? But the answer is yes, they did that.
One guy had a shoe bomb, and now we got to take off our goddamn shoes at the airport all the time. One guy.
Not just that, babe, but one guy did that in
20 years ago.
One guy did that in 2001. Now, granted, 9/11 was still very fresh. But also like, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And he was wearing like, wasn't he wearing like platform shoes? I'm not going to like do too much like deep dive, because I've already like Googled him and apparently like
me too. I don't like it.
Yeah. Did you see this NBC News? Shoe bomber has tactical regrets. How about just regrets?
How about just regret, but he's like, I didn't do it. I didn't have the right shoes. Like that's
what he did was 10 times more effective. I'm sorry. But like, think about the long lasting sort of, I don't want to get killed for saying this or knocked for saying this by anybody, but like that is some long lasting domestic terrorism, because he obviously was like, you have the bombs in your shoes. Are you going to bomb the plane? You're going to die too. And you did it and bing, bang, boom, I guess. But what he did was he got caught with the bombs in his shoes. And yes, he's in jail. But he knows, and he's alive for the legacy that he has created, where now 22 years later, unless you have TSA pre-check, people still have to take off their shoes because of one thing that you did. And all over the world, not just the United States, all over the world.
You have to do
this. This is like one of the biggest impacts you could ever make. That's got to mean something.
I'm not going to say his name on the pod. We're not going to immortalize him that way because we have to take off our goddamn shoes at the airport. But what a legacy. Yeah.
So like that's an evil legacy. This is an evil man.
When I was in Europe, time before last, the gentleman that I was dealing with at the Heathrow Airport in London, it was a long, contentious conversation about what I could and could not put in the clear plastic bag. Europe has very strict limits on things. Anyway, I'm bartering for like my dry shampoo and face wash. It was just a mess. I'm the asshole kind of in the situation, but he was having fun with it.
Not kind of, babe. Everybody knows it's about traveling to Europe, but I do love you and I respect you. And I know that that's hard for you.
I was the asshole, but the guy
it's hard for my mom too. It's hard for a lot of people.
It's hard for a lot of people. The guy kept saying that the TSA, the American TSA, he's like, it's like taking the bus. Like he just was insulting our level of security. Like we think it's this big mirage of secure. I mean, it's all just faux security. I'm like, okay, you were at Burger King yesterday and now you're like a fake cop at the airport. What's happening? But he just said that ours is like taking the bus. Like that's how insignificant we are compared to the rest of the world's security. And I'm like, nah, babe, I've definitely like walked through airports like with metal on me. And no one said anything. Like anyway, he really didn't think highly of Americans. So we had us a nice old time, but.
And then you had to throw away about $70 worth of skincare.
Yes, I think he's in on it with the stores inside of the airport that sell
the duty free. Yeah.
Yeah. He's in on it with the duty free. He's like, I'm going to make this American bitch throw away all her stuff so she has to buy stuff from you. Can I get a kickback? Can I get like 10% back every time? He really taught me a lesson.
When I was in the Madrid airport coming home from my honeymoon, I made a severe mistake of wearing a smart turtleneck and some jeans to wear on my flight home.
Mhm.
And then I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get so hot. What was I thinking? Right. And so I was desperate to buy a shirt. And I was like, well, this is an airport. I'm going to be able to find a shirt.
Of course.
It was so hard to find a shirt. Like I could spend like 90 euro on a Spain soccer jersey, which I wasn't going to do. Or I could spend like airport t-shirt price on these shirts that had little bulls on them that all said Bad Toro. And I was like, what is this brand Bad Toro?
Yeah.
And I kept Googling it because I was like, I don't want to accidentally like, you know, get like some weird kind of like, because like the energy
Ed
was
Hardy.
giving me, yes, or like it kind of was giving me the energy of like kind of white male dirt bike, you know,
Rhinestone on the back pocket of their jeans.
or just like we ride dirt bikes and like
Oh,
have
yeah.
Trump flags kind of
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't want to like get something that people are going to look at me and go, you're a piece of shit. I could not find anything about this brand other than that it is something that you can buy at the airport in Barcelona and Madrid. Like I couldn't figure out what it was. So I ended up buying one anyways. And the only one I could find was like military green. So I was like, oh, I look like the biggest asshole right now.
And are you spelling it Turo? Am I?
Toro, Bad Toro. It's just
Okay.
this little guy. And I'm like, what is this? But
Yeah.
Bad Toro. I mean, it is, I guess it is a sports brand. I don't know. Like Bad Toro Bull loves races, sports, and brave people. Never surrender. Bad friends gang. And what is
Yeah.
this?
I don't know. It has
It's
little
like if you're-
testicles. The little mascot it's a bull
I-
that has testicles.
Oh, you
Little
know,
ones.
I know it. I was like, I'm going to wear this little cartoon bull with his balls, but it was better than being too hot on the flight. So
Yeah.
I had to do what I had to do. Those international flights, man, it doesn't matter how nice of a section you're sitting in. It is hot, hot, hot.
Toasty. I hate being sweaty on a plane more than I'd rather be cold than sweaty on a plane.
Totally.
I wish they just cut it. You know, I wish they just cut that out.
All right. Well, fine. Let's get to that then.
Welcome to We Cut That.
We got that.
And we cut that.
These are stories that we're not going to fully cover, just kind of give you the headlines and a summation. From thesmokinggun.com. Man gives police worst explanation ever as to why he had to pleasure himself in public.
I mean, what was the explanation?
Florida man says that he was having issues with his rectum, and to get rid of the pain, he had to ejaculate. And we cut
You
that.
couldn't do that at home, sir? You know, no, you're right. We cut that.
we
We
can't
had
get
too many
into it.
questions. We had to cut it. We could have done a whole podcast on it.
From kansascity.com. Man thrust American flag through another man's head at a Sonic, the Oklahoma police say.
These colors don't run.
They do lunge through another man's head. We're not going to get into it. The man said he deserved it. The thing I will comment on, though, is that the pole entered and had to be cut at the top and the bottom so that the man could fit inside of the ambulance. So the firefighters had to come out with the jaws of life and cut the tops and the bottoms of the pole itself off so the man could even fit inside of an ambulance.
He
Sonic,
survived, which is crazy.
So do you remember that movie Stillwater that came out with Matt Damon last year? Have I already told this story?
I don't know.
Okay.
But
Stillwater
I
is the name of
haven't
my
seen it.
Okay. I haven't seen. I've watched 3 minutes for this one particular scene. So Stillwater is where I went to college, Stillwater, Oklahoma. The movie is basically Amanda Knox story. Like father goes over to Italy to save his daughter. She's been blah, blah, blah. But
Okay.
Matt Damon plays a oil worker in, Texas, oil fields in Oklahoma, blah, blah, blah. Well, through a friend of a friend of a friend, we know there's a man in Oklahoma that we know who was Matt Damon's Oklahoma teacher. So this man taught him how to be like a roughneck and what to say and how to be Oklahoman enough for this role, right? But he took him to a Sonic, Sonic drive-through, America's Drive-In. took him to a Sonic. And Matt Damon's like, how would I order, this like chili cheese dog or whatever I'm doing or whatever. And so the guy that we know said, he said, I need a corn dog. Anita. And Matt Damon's like, who's Anita? No, I need a corn dog, but it's like Anita, like a woman's name. And so that happens at like 2.5 minutes into the movie. He pulls into a Sonic, orders the chili cheese dog. And I was like, okay, that's all I needed to know. Matt Damon had to learn how to be a roughneck because he's a guy from Boston. So.
Anita Corn Dog is a good drag name.
Anita Corn. It is. Ooh. Free drag name for anybody who wants it. Anyway, we cut that from the dailymail.co. One last story. Gotta wait till you get home. A Phoenix airport worker strips naked in the middle of baggage claim and then does push-ups. We don't have time for that.
No, you got to get your pump on. But I got to know, babe, are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Bring on the plagues, babe.
It's time for the dumpster fire of the week.
Oh my God.
From pnj.com and the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Florida man story. Leprosy cases in Central Florida account for nearly 20% of the national cases. So Florida is beaming with leprosy right now.
It just makes sense, doesn't it? Like, isn't like when I'm sorry to anyone who lives in Florida, I suppose, but when I heard about this of like, hey, there's a new travel warning going into effect, and it's not for Florida, and it's not the whole, this is not a safe place for LGBTQ people. This is not a safe place for people of color. No, this is dead ass. You don't want to go to Florida because leprosy is spreading. And it's like, yeah, okay. I get, okay.
Yeah, no questions.
Okay, yeah. So leprosy is scientifically known as Hansen's disease, and it's a chronic infectious disease that primarily affects the skin and peripheral nervous system.
And if you aren't familiar, I would recommend Google imaging. Like, it is hard to see.
You don't need to Google image if you don't want to. Just
Trigger
because,
warning.
like, it's kind of scary. The number of reported leprosy cases across the country has doubled over the past decade, and 70% of the new cases were reported in Florida, California, Louisiana, Hawaii, New York, and Texas. But Florida is the one that stands out because it has like almost all of them, or Central Florida alone has 20% of them.
And there's no clear demonstration of the zoonotic exposure or traditional known risk factor. So a lot of people get it from animals opposed to touching other humans, and that's not happening.
So the symptoms for leprosy, it's a loss of feeling in your hands and feet, dry, stiff, and painful skin, thinning of your eyebrows and eyelashes, nasal congestion, and if it goes untreated, your hands might get weak and stuff. So it's not like this whole, because when I think of leprosy, I think of like your skin turns green and falls off.
Right. I mean, I think back in the day before it was fully treatable and curable with antibiotics, it probably, it was more like that. There were leprosy colonies where people were like, send them all away where they can't touch anybody else.
Yeah. So this is curable. You get antibiotics and then you're not contagious after a few days, but it does take about 1 to 2 years of antibiotics to finally get rid of this. So this is not like a UTI, take a couple of antibiotics, drink some cranberry juice and you're done. Yeah. You don't want to get leprosy.
No.
But honestly, I don't have any intentions to travel to Florida anytime soon. So I guess it's okay as long as what makes me nervous about this, they're referring to it as an endemic because it's like very predictable to like, kind of solve, I guess. Whereas like there was a pandemic where like, it was hard to like, it took forever for them to figure out what spread it. And it was so easily spreadable. Like leprosy is an endemic, which I guess is easier, but
it's like, we know it. We know the causes like malaria. Malaria is in an endemic phase, but people in areas with high malaria infections still sleep in mosquito nets. It's like
Yes.
we should still be wearing our masks. Anyway, but yes, leprosy is also in the endemic. Like we know where it is, like what's causing it mostly, and like how to avoid getting it in the most cases. But
I just feel like we're also in the end times where people are super stupid, like maybe a lot
Mhm.
more stupid than they should be. And so that's what makes me nervous, is that like people are going to go, oh, crazy. You could get leprosy if you go to Florida. Shit. I was going to go to Miami though to see Diplo. They're probably fine, right? And then it just kind of like spreads when it really shouldn't. That's what I'm nervous
Yeah.
about. I don't want it to keep spreading in Florida, but I really don't want it to leave Florida.
Yeah, I don't want anything to leave Florida. I don't want their ID. No, I'm just kidding. Florida, you're great. I'm sorry we shit on you. It's not your fault. Ron DeSantis sucks, but what are you going to do? There's
Mhm.
beautiful parts of every place. There's bad parts of every place too. I don't know why, but the world just likes to pick on you, Florida.
It's
We just
because
like
you
to pick
release
on
your
you.
crime statistics.
Yes, other places, Ohio probably is the weirdest shit too. We just don't know about them as easily.
That's nice
Uh,
that we really came around on Florida
yeah,
because we
yeah.
feel bad for them. We don't want to kick them when they're down. Hey,
No, yeah.
what are you hoarding?
Speaking of Diplo, he does a song with two of my favorite country Texas artists, Paul Cathan and Sierra Farrell. They are really fun. The song is called Rain on My Mind. I don't know. Sierra Farrell has some of the most beautiful fucking vocals. Paul Cathan is just a deep, throaty voice. And then there's like a slight Diplo beat to it, but it still has like those country elements. It's just really fun. I don't know. I really like it. I like all two of those artists a lot.
All
not
two
always
of them.
I'm not always a huge Diplo person. You know, we've dabbled, but Paul Cathan and Sierra Farrell are really cool. Check out their music. Check out Rain on Me. It's a fun song. That's what I'm hoarding this week. And another song. I'm sorry. I'm hoarding two songs. Okay. I'm hoarding two songs. There's a song called Planet of the Bass by comedian Kyle Gordon. He is going under the satirical persona DJ Crazy Times. And the concept of the song is that this is what every 2000 Europop song sounded like. So it's just a woman singing.
It is funny.
It's so funny. It's just like a woman singing with like silly lyrics, like, and then he comes in and he's like the deep voice, speaking in this type of cadence. And the video is really great. Now, the second one with the brunette, you've lost the feel. You have to bring the blonde girl back, but it's really funny. Look up Planet of the Bass, and he played it at a club recently. It's never been played live. It's just been like a TikTok sound. The whole club knew every lyric.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it's just fun. Anyway, Planet of the Bass by Kyle Gordon and Rain on Me by Sierra Farrell and Paul Cathan and Diplo. That's what I'm hoarding. What are you hoarding?
It's not called Rain on Me, is it? It's like Thinking of Rain.
Rain on My Mind. I'm sorry. Rain on My Mind. Yeah, that's what it's called. Thank you. Oh, my goodness.
Because Rain on Me is famously a Lady Gaga song.
Yeah, no, it's Rain on My Mind. Thank you.
Got it.
Ooh, what are you hoarding?
I gotta get queued up for myself to listen to. I'm hoarding Lifesavers hard candies.
Ooh, yeah.
I asked Taylor to get me some hard candies from the store because I just wanted some. And he came home with Werther's and Lifesavers, and Werther's are so good. And I've talked about them, I think, on the show before.
Mhm.
But Werther's are made with milk and butter. And I was like, I can't risk getting stomach ache from pounding Werther's.
Mhm.
So I've been just like eating Lifesaver candies. I'm sure I'm destroying my teeth, but I'm loving it.
That's great. Every once in a while, you just get like a candy kick and you're like, these are the best things ever. You know, the little strawberries that look like the hard sucker candies that are individually wrapped and they look like strawberries.
I don't.
Oh, I'm going to find them. I don't know what they're called. I don't know. I just know them as the little strawberries. My grandpa would have them in his pocket sometimes. That and peppermints. It's just a hard outer shell, has like a gooey center in the middle.
Oh my God, I know exactly what you're talking about. But they're not, I've never seen them as suckers before. I've just seen them as the hard candy.
Like you suck on them. There's no stick. It's just like, yeah, a hard candy.
Oh yeah, my grandparents had that. It was like chewy in the middle, randomly.
Chewy in the middle. Those little strawberries. But like if I had one, I want to have 50.
Yeah, I mean, once I get to the bottom of this bag of the Lifesavers, I'm going to be like done with this for the next 20 years probably. But
yeah, I'll never think about them again.
Nope. But it's really just scratching an itch right now. What are you throwing out?
Road rage.
What?
Road rage.
Oh, that's good.
I turned right at an intersection. I had a stop sign. I turned right. The person, it was a 4-way stop, like 4 stop signs, right? The person, I'm turning right. And so the person coming straight that would now be behind me, if he had stopped, didn't stop at his stop sign. So I turn right like a normal human and he's speeding behind me. Had to slow down because I was accelerating up and he did not stop. He then proceeds to follow me for like, I think a mile. It was a good mile. Okay. I'm turning onto like residential streets. I'm doing the thing where it's like, I'm making right turn, like 4 right turns to see if somebody's following you. He absolutely does. So by the time I have to make my stop, I pull onto that street and I'm like, okay, this guy definitely is following me. Then I see up the street, there's a Beverly Hills police officer car. So I park a little further from my destination and I'm parallel with that car. And I get out and I just waved the officer and I see that guy and he gets out of his car and he's just standing there. And so I do my business. I come back again to the car and I'm like, evening officers, you know, just making sure he knows I'm talking to the police kind of. The only crime they've prevented here is me not being followed anymore. But that guy was like writing my plates down. It was.
Are you serious?
And I'm like, you're the one that didn't stop.
Look, sometimes it's hard not to have a little bit of road rage. Like if someone cuts you off or
Sure.
whatever, even if you're in the wrong, like people get road rage, but
Give him a honk.
give them a honk, flip them off. Don't ever follow and try to scare someone. That
Yeah.
is so uncool.
Yeah.
Even if you like insist to get their plates down, if you don't have a passenger and you can't do it quickly, then move on with your fucking life.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
Because that is just so like, was it worth it? People get nuts when they're behind a wheel of a car.
They do. I'm like, these
It's so scary.
2,000-pound war machines. Calm down. Anyway, what are you throwing away?
I'm throwing away, maybe I've talked about this before. It feels familiar, but it happened again. Hey, if you're in a waiting room or any sort of public place, use headphones or just like don't have your phone on volume.
Yes.
I was at Kaiser recently and there was multiple waiting rooms in the office that I was in. In one waiting room, and they all have open windows to each other so everyone can hear what they're doing. One waiting room, they just had like music playing. Like one person had music playing on their phone. And then in another waiting room, the one I was in, that person was on TikTok and then switched to taking a FaceTime call. And it's like,
no.
What's happening? And at one point, they stared at me as if I was the asshole. And I'm like, you have your phone on full blast right now.
Right.
Like, I get it. You're at a doctor's appointment. Maybe you're feeling like nervous or I don't know, whatever. I think that Kaiser and other like waiting rooms, DMVs, social security offices, anywhere, maybe we need to provide a service of like, you can check out some headphones for free and you have to just return them before you leave if you need to keep yourself entertained in such a way. But it's so rude and it's like wacky behavior to me. To be super, super, super inconsiderate of everyone else around you. Like it's the energy of like taking a speakerphone call, like when you're in public. But, and then some people are like, well, what does it matter? If they were sitting right here, we'd be talking this loud. And I'm like, no, you wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't be talking that loud.
You wouldn't be yelling. You wouldn't be, you're yelling right now because you're on speakerphone in public. Like, don't lie. Put your headphones on. If you want to have a conversation, use the voice that you would use because you're using headphones. But like, the TikTok thing sent me over. And then the fact that it was competing with music from the other waiting room, I was like, oh shit, this is hell. I'm in hell. I brought a book. Book for me to mind my own business. I couldn't read the book because I was too distracted with all of the noise. So
I hate it when people too let their kids just listen to like their iPads on full volume somewhere.
Like I'm not a parent, so I don't know what it's like. And you just need to distract your kid, but at the same time, like prepare better, maybe.
Yeah.
Get them some headphones, dude.
Yeah. Get them ones that look like a cat. Who knows? Like whatever. Make it cute, but it's just so rude.
Super rude. Super rude. Hey, where do the people find you, Erica?
You can find me listening to my music on full volume in public. at iconic Erica Curry on Instagram and TikTok. And who knows? Iconic Erica Curry, search it online. On X, I'm something different. And but yeah, that's mostly where you can find me right now. That's all I want to be found. So yeah. What about you? Where can they find you?
Honestly, nowhere, but you can find me here on the Trashy podcast every Monday. Our Twitter, our X and our Instagram and every platform that there is out there, or TikTok, we're Trashy Pod. We have a website, trashytrashypodcast.com, where you can tell us why you're trash. You can give us stories. We love it. You can also find our merch store while you're there, trashytrashypodcast.threadless.com. We've got lots of stuff there and it's great.
It's fun. New stuff coming soon. And you can always sign up to support this podcast at anchor.fm/trashytrashy/support, where you can sign up to be a monthly patron and help us keep the lights on. You just keeping the lights on. That's all.
Yeah, keep the fans whirring. But yeah, we appreciate you guys listening and thanks so much. And we'll talk to you next week. We'd love it.
Hey, Cass.
What's going on, girl?
Stay garbage.
You stay garbage, girl.
I will. Bye-bye.
Bye.